Boker Tov, Miss Paka, for my Hebrew Israelite family, Maraho, to my Rwandan family, Assalamu alaikum to my brothers and sisters in the Muslim family, and to the rest of the people in BS&G, Babylon, United States. Good morning and blessings to each one of you. Today, I'm going to do a series on a few topics: relationships, religion, finance, education, and history. So, I will share with you. First, we'll start with relationships. Let me introduce myself. I'm Abia. That's my Hebrew Israelite name. Yafaisha. My beautiful wife, Abigail, she'll be joining me in some of the topics a little later on. So the Creator has guided me to do this. I'm not a podcaster. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm going to do these five topics, and that'll be it. Unless y'all guides me to do something else. I'm dedicating this to my grandchildren, Princess and Cameron Jr., and that whole generation. And as they say, let them who have ears that would like to hear. And my intention and goal in sharing this is to change generations for our people. And it only takes one person that hears and embraces this to teach to their children and their children. And we're talking about generational change. And so with that being said, let's start with relationships. One, the first, and so as I speak, I'll be speaking based on my relationship with the Creator. And so also, to give a little background, I was a Muslim when I was between, I think, 10 to 14. Then way later on, I think about 31, 32, I became a Christian. And that was from 32 all the way up to 62. And then I was I was awakened by the Hebrew Israelite culture, which is not a religion, it's a lifestyle. So we read the Torah, but all those things interconnect. And so I'm just sharing part of the history, and later on I'll share with you my personal history, how I came to be in this space of my journey of my life. So with that, we'll talk about relationships, and this is from my observations and my actual experiences and my interactions. I'm 65 years experience, not counting all the mentorship that I've had in my journey. So one, I start with relationships. The first relationship for me, and this is, when I say my people, I'm talking to my people. This is for my people. The first relationship is with Yah, Creator. Yah is in a the Hebrew name, and so I relate it to when I talk to other people. It's the Creator. We have one Creator. So in Christian, it would be God, and Muslim would be Allah, and yeah, that's what it is. That we only have one Creator. So the first relationship that you have is with your Creator. And since I was a Christian, I understand the beginning, what they call the Old Testament, who made the 7 days, everything. So I'm speaking to you, so you should know what I'm talking about. That is the first relationship that we uh, should really work on, because if anything, the person who creates you knows you, and you want to be in tune with that energy, with that Creator. One is, how do you live? The Creator has left us instructions. Um, what I will say this, and you'll hear me say it all through the each topic, is do your research. You're responsible for your education, and as a child, um, you still get your parents to help you, and as you're able to read, you're responsible for your education. Um, the third thing is, in relationship, you have to have a relationship with yourself. You have to know yourself. From the time that you're born all the way, you have to know yourself. And I'm going in the order uh, that should be done. You need to know yourself. You have to be honest with yourself, truthful with yourself. Now, once you have that relationship with yourself, the next one is relationship with your wife, or if you talk, I'm speaking about my wife, but if you, woman, uh, it's for your husband, relationship with your husband. The next relationship is with your children, um, and everyone else. But before you get married, of course, your relationship is with as yourself. You go with your parents. That's before you get married. I'm sharing that. That's self-explanatory. But I'm understanding that this message is everybody, but it's directed to the children. Um, so in relationships, where we're at, because I only can talk about when I was in BS&G. So when you hear that, I'm just going to say the initials. BS&G is what I've experienced. It's Babylon, Sodom, and Gomorrah. So that's the experience. That's what I've seen and where I lived at when I was in um, the DMV, and what I observed all over that area, East Coast, West Coast, whatever. So when I refer to BS&G, you understand what that is. Because of our history, and our history is important because it it helps form our character. Because wherever you grow up, whatever your environment is, it has a strong presence on your character and your thoughts and beliefs. And so one thing, and with all relationships here, is dealing with, you heard the phrase post-traumatic post-traumatic syndrome, post-traumatic slave syndrome. And then I came up with one because this is about relationships. The Creator wants first us to have a relationship with the Creator, and then with the people, with the Creator's people. But we as people are dealing with PTRS, which is post traumatic relationship syndrome, because we have dealt this from our ancestors. Our ancestors passed it down to them, and then down to us. And so we have that. So anytime we're dealing in relationships, you have to, one thing that I found out, you have to communicate and understand who you're dealing with. So as parents, our parents have poured down certain things to us, and then we put it towards our children. But as we understand, generational curses is just like generational habits. If we understand, find out, and learn a different way to encourage and uplift our children, then that's what we need to do in order to break the cycle of the miseducation of our children. And so that, knowing the post-traumatic relationship syndrome, that is important. And so when you do that as a child and you grow up and then you decide to, okay, I want to get married or have a relationship, when you do that relationship, you need to know the history of that person. First of all, you need to come into a realization and a history of yourself. You have to do the work on yourself and realize things that you need to improve on. And as I share with people, and I'll share with doing the different topics, for me, every area in my life needs to be improved. Some areas more than others, but every area in my life I need improvement. And so you hear me talk about walk in truth, be humble, and be teachable. Those things go hand in hand. You want to walk in truth, and then you need to be humble to be able to be teachable. And so those are the things that, personally I work on, and through my relationship with my wife, knowing her 30 years, the progression of that relationship has come to this point over the last month and a half, which has been the prayer that I asked for. When I pray, I always ask that y'all continue to bless and improve our marriage in every way and every day, and allow me to be the husband or ish that y'all called me to be. And the journey that I'm on, and now I've always embraced the fact that I was blessed to have my wife because y'all put her in my life. So I embraced that. And so it takes, when I had that mindset, I don't know what my journey was. I was married before when I had 3 sons from that marriage. It was like 2 years. That journey and those experiences led me up to the growth for me to be in this space, to be able to hear and say and pray to y'all at the time, God, that just give me a woman who loves you and understands and loves you. And so with that being said, my learning process is continual. And one is be able to understand First of all, communication is, before you get married, you have to communicate. That's 100%. You have to understand that. And then once you communicate, then you have to be on the same page. You have to have the same spiritual mindset, financial mindset, health mindset, but most of all, the spiritual mindset. And as I'm talking to you, when it comes to a wife and husband, what I would call a hierarchy, and that's in all the biblical books that I discussed, is one, y'all both have to put Yah, God, first, period. You have to have that. Then yourself, then your wife or husband, and then it goes down from there. After that, those are the three, and then you go down from that. If you have parents and no children, then your parents. But then it switches when you have children. Also, if you want to have a successful marriage, you have to be, they call it equally yoked, but the bottom line, those things that I just discussed, you have to have those things. And understand that, because if y'all are not on that same page, as I was sharing, in my opinion, if you don't have the same spiritual values, financial values, and health values, your marriage has a very low percentage of being all that your marriage could be and what our Creator wants it to be. The other thing is, I'm not sure I said this, know the love language of your wife or husband, for wives. And yeah. So this is for, we make it very clear, the marriage between a man and a woman. Not only know her love language, make sure that you communicate to your spouse your love language. And as I stated before, understand her PTRS, his PTRS. So if you were in other relationships like I was, and she was, understand what transpired. That's what communication comes in. So when people say, let the past be in the past, unfortunately, us as humans, our DNA and our minds can't shut off the past like it never happened. And like I say, history, if you have bad history, it has a chance of repeating itself if you do not communicate and deal with that situation before you get married and before you in a relationship to get married. And so one of the biggest things for our people is understanding the parameters, what a relationship takes. Don't be caught up in the red pill, blue pill, all the stuff that's going on social media, the 666 required by women, and men requiring certain things, and none of us centered on the Creator. So when you don't have that situation and centered on the Creator, you're going to have chaos, and you're going to have back and forth. And our people are falling into that trap of being angry and upset with each other because of not a majority of individuals with that mindset, but enough that the media, elevates it. So men seem to think a lot of women this way, and women seem to think a lot of men that way. And the whole point is division, divide and destroy, or divide and conquer. So, I will leave this to say, do your research on relationships and have your daily introspection of yourself. Do a daily checkup of yourself. And when you do daily introspection, it leads to character correction. And you will be better for it, and all those around you will be better for it. So that's what I would just share about relationships. And when it comes to, like I said, the hierarchy and any relationship, when you get negative energy, you keep those relationships away, out of your space. It doesn't matter who it is, you keep that out of your space. And understand, remember, people will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. And unfortunately, they have sayings, people take kindness for weakness. But that's because of the environment that I was in when I was in BS&G. I'm now 1 year plus and counting in the motherland of Kigali, Rwanda. It's been a total shift in everything. And so your environment matters. And I'm in a very positive environment where the food is clean, the people are kind, and caring. And of course, I'm talking about the majority. You still have those people with their colonizers mindset. And so that's all I'll have to say about relationships. And also, when people say, if you have any comments to help to inspire, leave your comments. If you have comments that you feel will, like I said, uplift and inspire, leave those comments. And as if you see, if this is not for you, move on. So may y'all continue to bless each one of you. And we will continue with the next session, which is about knowing your history. All praises to Yah, the creator of all things, blessings and curses.